Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for taking time to join us today for the April release webinar. My name's Zepf. Most of you hopefully know me by now. I am joined today by Andy as well as by Kristen, and the three of us will take you through all the updates, things that have released. We'll talk roadmap. And then at the end, as always, we will make sure we leave plenty of time to answer questions you have. And I'd ask that if you think of questions as we're going through content, just use that Q&A module in the webinar, so that way we can make sure we hit all your questions and get them answered. It's a lot easier for us to be able to go through and be organized about doing that as opposed to trying to go through the chat. So chat away, but if you have questions, please use that Q&A. And with that, I'm going to hand it over to Andy, who I think is going to kick us off today with things we have released recently.
Cool, thanks, Dee. So yeah, first things first, let's talk about everything that we released since last month's webinar. So first up is network discovery. So last month we rolled out phase 1 of our new network discovery feature set. This allows you to create scan profiles, which can provide daily scans of all devices on a given network. And this is what the results of those look like. This allows you to create as many scan profiles as you'd like per customer, allowing you to monitor multiple sites across that same customer if you wanted to. And then on the next slide, this is phase 2 of what we just released last week. And this allows you to take actions on discovered devices. So when you click on any discovered Windows device, for example, you'll now see this new install agent button here in the bottom right. If you click that, it's going to use the domain credentials you entered when setting up your scan profile, meaning you can quite literally deploy the Syncro agent over the network in a single click. Now, on the next slide, that leaves just your unmanaged network devices. So when you drill into one of those, like this Crestron controller, you'll now see a Create Asset button in the bottom right instead of the Install Agent button. This will allow you to create a custom asset inside of Syncro, which you can then set up for SNMP monitoring as well, or you could just add it as what I would call a dumb device for asset tracking purposes. So this makes spinning up a new customer or getting a better foothold into an existing customer's network infrastructure extremely easy by allowing you to bring all of these devices into Syncro with a single click. And before I move on to the next item, we've had a ton of folks asking about retrialing the team plan again. So as of today, we've reset everybody's trial status for the team plan, meaning anybody on the core plan is now free to trial this in their own Syncro instance. So you can do this by going into the account settings section of the admin settings in your Syncro instance and clicking the manage plan button there, and there'll be an option to trial the team plan. So next up is a brand new partnership that I am really excited to talk about. Very rarely do I find products that focus on just a single purpose, and they do it better than anybody else on the market. But AutoElevate is one of these rare products. So first of all, let me explain what AutoElevate is. AutoElevate is a privileged access management tool. This means you can finally set all of your end users across every single customer you manage as user level accounts without frustrating the hell out of them and without frustrating the hell out of your technicians. CyberFOX has posted some staggering metrics detailing the dangers of allowing admin privileges for end users. For example, 9 out of 10 successful breaches are due to an abuse of privilege. Even crazier, over 90% of all Windows vulnerabilities would have been nullified if the user simply wasn't an admin. So AutoElevate works as this blue protective layer well before your more traditional security products like AV and EDR would ever take hold. On the next slide, you'll see what it looks like when a user attempts to perform an action that would raise a UAC prompt. Instead, they'll see a fully brandable window letting them know they do not have permissions to do what they're trying to do, and they can escalate a request directly to you right from this screen. On the next slide, you'll see what an alert looks like in AutoElevate, which offers a ton of useful information about the request, such as the risks behind the request, and it even includes data provided by VirusTotal when it relates to an executable. From here, you can approve or deny the request, which makes its way back to the end user and allows them to complete the process or alerts them that you've denied that request. With AutoElevate, you can also create very robust rules. So for example, I could say that D is allowed to perform this request in the future while Kristen is not. Or I could say everybody in D's department is able to perform that request on their own. Or I could just say everybody at Syncro is safe to perform this specific request. So the idea is that you create baselines for things you know are safe on a per user, per department, or per customer basis while requiring manual approval for everything else. And then on the next slide on the right side, they have a badass mobile app as well. And that allows you to approve and deny requests while you're on the go. Now, everything I just told you about is their base level standard SKU. They also have an advanced SKU, which adds an extremely cool feature to the mobile app called just-in-time admin. What this does is allow you to press a hidden keyboard combination on an endpoint while you're on the site. And that's going to present a QR code that you can scan so long as you have rights to do so on your mobile app. And that's going to give you temporary admin privileges to work on the machine, even if you don't know what the admin credentials are. When you're done and you log off, those admin credentials will be destroyed. On the next slide, we actually, AutoElevate actually built a pretty wicked integration into Syncro as well. This will open up requests as tickets in Syncro. It will automatically link the asset to the ticket. It includes a link to the request back to AutoElevate, includes that virus total link I was telling you all about just a minute ago, and it will even append multiple actions to the ticket. So like in this example, this person really wants to do this action because they tripped it 3 or 4 times here within a couple hours. Once the request is action within AutoElevate, that ticket is going to be marked as resolved within Syncro. So anyhow, AutoElevate is far and away my favorite product we've ever added into the marketplace. And I know I probably shouldn't say that, but it really is that awesome. And it's available now for anybody who's interested. Just head over to the App Center, look for the AutoElevate app card. All accounts start as 2-week trials, and the pricing can be found right on the app card. And then lastly, we're going to be putting on a webinar with AutoElevate to show how this works in much more detail on April 22nd. And Caitlin's going to drop that link in the chat so everybody can have that link to register. So next up is the mobile app. We've been making some incremental improvements to our brand new mobile app ever since we first launched it. A new update just hit the app stores, I believe, yesterday. And the update primarily focuses on your, next slide, Caitlin, thanks. The update primarily focuses on your end users as they relate to tickets. So now you can search, clear, and add assigned end users to existing tickets within the mobile app. And you also now have the ability to assign the end user when you're creating a new ticket as well. We also fixed some issues around push notifications. So those should now be working as expected. And that also includes clicking a push notification and having it bring you to the associated alert within the app. I know that one was particularly frustrating to me as well. So that should now be solved across the board as well. All right, so that's everything that we've released this past month. Dee, I'm going to hand things off to you, and I think you're going to talk a little bit about what's currently in EA.
That's right. Yeah. So a little bit on early access for folks. And some of this will be a little bit of a review of some projects we've talked about before, as well as some new things I think that have headed into early access since our last webinar. And I think Kristen and I are going to tag team this section a bit. But let's start by talking about the ticket page redesign. And this is one I know we've talked about several times. I'm not going to kind of bore everyone with like all the great things you can now do on this page. I think we got some early feedback when we first went into beta with this feature. We have made a lot of changes behind the scenes on this, both to the UI as well as to the performance. And so we're feeling really good about this page. There were thousands of people that used it last month to manage their tickets and are currently actively using it. There's a toggle in ticket settings. And so I highly recommend, if you don't have it turned on, it's worth turning on and checking out. It's still technically in beta, and so we're giving folks the option to turn it off or on. And if you have any reason to turn it off, we'll probably be checking in on why you turned it off, because we're trying to get this pretty quickly to a place where everyone feels great about having this be their ticket page. And I think we've made great progress towards that. And so would love to hear your feedback if you check it out, and encourage everyone to hop in there and use it. Next up, another kind of exciting page redesign to hopefully give you, and this is a new page we've added to the product, the Windows patching dashboard. This is currently in early access. We ended up filling up the early access program for this. We had a lot of interest in checking this out, and thank you to everyone who signed up and has been giving the team feedback on this. We are making changes and fixes behind the scenes as people give us feedback on using it. By and large, we've heard some really positive things. And so this is really going to allow you to see a few different things. And so first on the top left, you'll be able to see kind of which percentage of your fleet is really patched. It's going to let you see like how things compare to your policy settings. And so, for instance, if you've blocked a certain KB from patching on endpoints, it won't count against that compliance score on the top. It'll also show you which percentage of your machines actually have patching coverage. And so if you've actually eliminated machines from coverage, you'll be able to see that here and know that it's something you might want to look into if that wasn't intentional. In the middle of the screen here, you can see all your missing patches by status. So you can click into any of these categories and see the list of failed patches or who needs a reboot, and you'll be able to actually take action on those in the bottom of the screen. So when you click on that, it'll filter the bottom of the screen and you'll be able to easily, kick off a reboot or install a set of missing patches right here from the dashboard. That bottom part of the screen is really just a representation of the filters you're setting on the top, or you can filter right in the table directly. You're able to export from that table directly if you want to pull that data out. So a lot of capabilities here in the dashboard to really give you a handle across all of your customer organizations of where things stand for patching. Like I said, early access, currently full on this one, which is the bad news. The good news is we're really close to getting this to release. And so hopefully it'll be available to all of you in the coming weeks, not months. And so I think we're really getting close on patching dashboard. All right, next up, we have ticket metric standardization. And so this is really looking at how do we standardize the calculation of average first response time, average resolution time. These are metrics that show up across the platform. This is in early access with a bunch of our partners. And what we've done is we've optimized these settings to A, make them standard across the platform, and B, provide some crisp rules on how we work with things like service level agreements, how we work with specified business hours. And then those settings will also adjust if you have them in a specific view and you're filtering that view, you'll be able to see those things adjust to the filter settings you have in the view. And so once again, in early access, we're hoping it'll be a pretty quick early access since there's not a ton of testing and feedback. We did a lot of conversations about how people wanted these to calculate. And so there was a lot of work behind the scenes. It's all pretty well documented in terms of how it's actually calculated and laid out. So hopefully coming soon to everyone soon. All right, and then one more feature that is also in early access, question mark. I think we're out with a few accounts for this one in early access. Some improvements to how we're handling ticket timers inside of the app. And so this is really a combination, a redesign that's intended to address a lot of smaller items. And so we've redesigned the whole section, made it easier to read, kind of made it so that it's scannable and kind of more conceptually logical to how people think about these types of things. We show the current time, and it's going to show the time for the total for the running timer only, not all of the time across the ticket. It's been requested, a bunch now, and so you'll be able to do that. You can also now take notes while your timer is running, and the notes field will expand and contract based on how you're working inside the notes field. So it just gets a lot easier and more convenient to make notes in here. And at the bottom, you'll see we have totals for both the actual time and the actual time column, as well as the billable time. So you can, see both of those at the ticket, kind of in a snapshot glance, which is helpful when you have, just more complex tickets that are long running. We've also, on the next slide, we've redesigned the labor log that goes along with this. We've kind of bundled these into one project, and we've just made it a lot simpler to work in. It's easier to see what's been charged and what hasn't been charged, what's already been invoiced. We've kind of moved the toggle, we've reordered some of the fields, we've added totals for actual time and billable time, we've added pagination. And so it just really cleaned it up so that it's just a lot more easier for you to kind of work in, and we've tried to really align with how we saw people wanting to work and trying to get work done in the system. So more to come on that one soon as well. All right, with that, I am going to hand it over to Kristen, who's going to talk through the next few projects.
Yeah, I'm really excited. This is a really big improvement and something we've been working on. We have redesigned and rewritten our Entra ID sync to use Microsoft's Graph API directly. And we've expanded it so that you can connect an individual MSP tenant like you can today, or you can connect your CSP and pull in all of the tenants that you manage within Microsoft directly. And you can have a lot more granular control over the groups of what's included within the sync. Our new Entra ID solves a lot of the problems that we heard from everyone when we released the Entra ID sync. The initial one, specifically around this Entra ID sync, is the users are synced hourly instead of daily. We also have end users pulled from Entra ID based on additional criteria rather than department. So you can see here, it's a little bit small, but you can see here, you can filter by user type or domain, office location, department, group, and we're going to continue to add to kind of these filters so that you can set up your sync directly to within your customers within Syncro. We also added a level of the Syncro tenant within the platform so that you can house all of your Syncro customers in one place and sign up, sync directly a single tenant, and then have that managed within filtering users specifically within Syncro. One of the big things that we added that we have heard loud and clear, and we know that there's additional work here, is that when a user is disabled in Entra ID, it will sync across and show as Microsoft disabled within Syncro. So you can easily filter that out within your end user list. You can easily make sure that you're billing properly for all of the users, especially if you've set up your billing. We also know that users can have more than one license. And so now the Syncro end users within the platform will have more than one Microsoft license, and you can filter pulled directly from Entra ID. So it's much more extensive than the current sync that we have. Our goal here is that this will allow you to sync all of the users directly from Microsoft into Syncro with no manual effort. So if you're adding a new customer or you're making updates, if you add or edit, disable the user in Microsoft, those changes will be reflected within Syncro every hour. And then again, like I said, you can associate several Syncro customer organizations with one Microsoft tenant, if that's the way you have your Syncro account organized, and you can filter the users to go to the proper Syncro organization. We also have it so that you can easily bill your customers for their uses of Microsoft licenses. So they're directly associated with the Syncro end user, which can be used for invoicing within Syncro. So a lot of big updates with the Entra ID plan, with the Entra ID sync, and a bunch of big feedback. Looking forward to hearing from all of you. Alongside that, we have also released, we're also in early access for a change to our end user management redesign. You'll see here our goal we've been showing our design changes throughout the product, and we're trying to make it easier to navigate and put the information that you need right at your fingertips. So we have done a full redesign of the contacts page, and we've renamed it to end users because it's more than just about user contact information. This design, our goal is solving a lot of the things we've heard from you. It's the index using the standard Syncro table, which you have seen in the ticket management and in the patching dashboard, and you'll be able to modify the columns and add things, and specifically around custom fields. You'll get the normal end user with email address, phone number, location, and site. You'll get to display custom fields if you want, and then we added the ability to display associated assets directly in the table. You can pick and choose what columns you would like to display, and then sort and filter directly based on those columns. If an asset is linked to the end user, you can then click on the link to go directly to the asset. We've also added a separate user details page. If you click into the user, so Caitlin, if you go to the next slide there. And this allows us to link directly to a single user with one simple click away, like from tickets or invoices or assets, and you can just access all of the user details. You'll be able to navigate from throughout the platform. We're working on a lot of those quick links, but this is the basis of where we're working, and this new page will come in handy. You'll also see that on this page, we have the Microsoft user details, which is all of the information that is synced directly from the Entra ID sync if you have that enabled. And so you'll see MFA status as an example. That is the Microsoft MFA status that you would see there. This is a really big improvement, and every user will see the contact end user redesign. And again, similar to our initial Entra ID sync, that will be in Team Plan. So next, I'm really excited to share about the roadmap.
Dee's going to handle most of the roadmap,
Yeah.
but I did want to cover the first item here. And we just moved this to in progress, and this is what we're calling universal billing. So I'm going to spend a little bit of time here going over this one specifically. I told you all earlier in the year I was working on something big that was about to make all of your billing admins our best friends, and this is what that is. We're going to solve the problem that every MSP faces of missed billing, inaccurate billing, or quite simply just wasting tons of time billing out licenses on a recurring basis manually. One of the keys to profitability that I talk about in my book is ensuring you're setting up billing models that are conducive to running your business. And many MSPs wind up adopting shitty billing models because their platform can't conform to the models they really want to be using and that they really should be using. And that's about to come to an end. So I want to show everybody how this is going to work end to end. Kaylee, can you hit the next slide? And the first supported marketplace vendor that's going to fall under the auspices of universal billing will be Proofpoint. We're going to continuously be adding our existing marketplace vendors as well as all new marketplace vendors like AutoElevate underneath this model as well throughout the year. Starts off by pulling a list of customers from the third-party vendor, in this case Proofpoint. You map those to your Syncro customers using this mapping tool here. Once customers are mapped, we'll start pulling in their license counts on a daily basis and recording those against their respective customer records in Syncro. Then on the next slide, you'll be able to report on usage on a customer by customer basis, detailing each vendor the customer has usage with, the various SKUs they're using within each vendor, and then of course the quantity of each SKU that customer is consuming. Then on the next slide, most of you are aware that our recurring invoice system allows you to dynamically count endpoints and contacts so that each time your recurring invoice fires, you have a dynamic count that will automatically update the invoice every single month for you. This is how the vast majority of MSPs on Syncro seamlessly bill out their scalable managed services contracts. Well, we're adding these third-party usage counts into this system now as well. So in this example, we're taking the total of Proofpoint's advanced SKU, grabbing a dynamic count of how many licenses were in use for this specific customer at the moment this invoice fires, and updating those counts on the invoice automatically. Next slide, please. Now, you all know that I'm a huge believer in giving MSPs the flexibility to bill in the most profitable way possible, which is why we're adding this highlighted section here into the universal billing model as well. If you want to bill for the full counts for any vendor SKUs, you're always free to do that. But many of you, and I did this in my MSP as well, include an allotment of licenses in your managed services contract. So for example, what if I want to include 50 licenses as part of this customer's contract and only bill them for licenses that exceed the allotment of 50? If I can't do that, then I'm back to billing my license manually again. Well, thankfully, this is exactly what this allows you to do. You even have an optional toggle here that will add this line under the invoice as a $0 charge to remind the customer of the additional value that your MSP is providing them. Now, the first question your billing admins are going to ask is, what about when you can't get something through Syncro's marketplace and you still need to bill it in a dynamic fashion? Well, first of all, tell me what it is so I can get it in the marketplace. But when I'm unable to do that, after we've brought all of our marketplace vendors under the universal billing model, we'll be adding an option to import a CSV for unsupported vendors. This will allow you to bring that usage into Syncro and still utilize all the features and benefits that universal billing bring. So it'll take you no more than 5 minutes to bring those counts into Syncro each month. Now, it's not going to be as cool as billing for it automatically, but it sure as hell beats the slog of doing all of this manually. So that's universal billing. And I hope everybody is as excited about this one as I am, because it would have been absolutely game changing if I had this back when I was running my MSP. We expect this to hit early access in the next couple of weeks, likely by the end of this month. So again, be on the lookout for that one, because we'll be opening up some EA signups for that for all folks that are getting your Proofpoint licensing through Syncro. Now I'm going to pass it back to Dee, who's going to talk about the rest of the roadmap updates.
Thanks for that, Andy. So I'm going to hop into some of the in-progress items on the roadmap. I'm pretty sure we talked through most of these: patching dashboard, ticket metrics, ticket timer, the contact redesign, the Entra ID sync. We also mentioned the ticket page, which once again, I'll say, turn it on if you haven't already. I think you'll like it. If you don't, definitely click on that product feedback and let me know right in the product. I'm here for it. So I think we've handled all the in-progress items so far. And so then if we move to what's up next, I have 3 things on this next list. So first here is unified ticket view. And so this is on that new ticket index page. We're going to make it so that you can have a unified view for your technicians, so they can easily see, their assigned tickets, tickets assigned to them, unassigned tickets, and subscribed tickets, all kind of in one simple place. It's something we've heard that will just make a lot of folks more productive in their everyday. And so we're working on that. Up next, as well as archiving assets, a long-standing common request in terms of allowing you to essentially retire an asset, but you want to keep the history intact for any number of reasons, but not have it get in your way as you're going about your daily work. And so that's on our roadmap, as well as the next level of mobile app upgrades. And so as you all seen, we are continuing to enhance the mobile app. And so the next run of things is really focused in on end users, and you'll see a lot more ability to work with end user and contacts in the mobile app coming next. I have one more thing we're going to add to the up next roadmap, and I'm going to hand it over to Kristen to talk about the 4th thing that we're putting on here as a surprise for folks that are here in the webinar, because it's not out on the public roadmap just yet, but we're going to be putting it out there after we, get through the next day or so. But Kristen, you want to take it away and talk about what's next? Thanks.
This is a longer term public roadmap item than we normally do. I wanted to come on and specifically talk about a number of the agent install and agent issues that we've seen within the last couple of weeks, and talk about why we're seeing those and some pieces of what we're working towards. Our agent has been in need of a good amount of modernization, and so we've been spending a lot of time modularizing and improving our agent for installs and upgrades. And we've identified some unfortunate edge cases, specifically around those scenarios when they happened. So one of the first was an edge case that caused agents to download the entire package rather than the delta for any updates that they were taking. And what that did is totally saturated the network bandwidth, which is why we saw the agent install failures earlier last week. And then we have also seen some updates specifically within our infrastructure around scaling and improving upgrading packages to make room for, and our longer term goal is to add a Linux agent and to add to continue to improve our agent support across the way. So again, this is a longer term roadmap item, but I wanted to talk about how we're modernizing the agent. That's one of our biggest areas of focus for us to continue to develop and improve it. We're adding a number of load testing and automation that is our highest priority to better catch a lot of these things before they go to a production. So I apologize for any of you that were impacted by those issues, but that's really where we're headed and why we're modernizing and improving the agent stack overall, is we are working towards bringing all of you a Linux agent with scripting, monitoring, alerting, remote access. So I'm really excited about that. Again, this is a longer term. Usually we put shorter term things on the roadmap, but I wanted to talk about where we were headed in that way.
All right. And with that, I think back over to Andy.
Yeah, I just want to do a +1 for Linux Agent too. I see lots of excited folks in the chat right now for Linux Agent. Okay, so last thing I want to mention to everybody before we head into QA, we just relaunched, I should say, our official community forums. You can head over there by visiting community.syncromsp.com. Use as SSO, so it's going to be the same login to the forums as you use to log into Syncro. This is going to become the only official forum moving forward, meaning this is the place you want to be if you want to interact with us directly on an ongoing basis. I will be there, Dee will be there, Kristen will be there, as will other members of the team. And yes, before anybody asks, you can directly message me there, just like you could previously on Facebook. So feel free to blow me up as you always do. I'm always happy to help you all where I can. Now, as Syncro continues to grow, and these webinars in particular continue to grow at a very rapid pace, we don't always get a chance to answer everybody's questions. So we're going to start opening posts at the conclusion of these webinars so folks can ask the questions they weren't able to get answered during our live session. So stay tuned for that post to pop up later today. So that's all the prepared content we have for today. We're going to head over to Q&A now. And remember, please use the Q&A box there to submit your questions. We won't be grabbing them from the general chat. That's where we'll be picking them up from.
All right, great. So maybe I can hop in with a couple things and then we'll just kind of round robin this. And so a few questions came in at the beginning around network discovery. There was one person who said network discovery is not working for them right now at all. And so I just wanted to say, like, if you're not seeing it work, please reach out to support. We've had, I think, almost 17,000 network scans run on the tool in the past few weeks since it's been out there. And so a lot of folks are using it successfully. We've heard anecdotal feedback as well as in our data. So it's definitely not a broad-based issue if it's not working for you. So reach out. I had someone ask about how do they find the network discovery tab, and is this on the core plan or the team plan? So network discovery is on the team plan. If you're not on the team plan, you can try or retry the team plan. You can also, to turn on the network discovery tab, it's in your tab customizations. We didn't put it on by default, so you'll need to go and kind of turn that tab on. In our documentation center, if you just search network discovery, all the instructions are right in there. So you can just turn the tab on and you should be able to see that working for you.
I'll grab one here at the top. When adding a device discovered via network discovery, is it possible to merge into an existing asset without allowing network discovery to create duplicate devices and then merging manually? Kristen, correct me if I'm wrong, but if it matches an existing device, either a Windows device or a network device, it should show at that point as managed, or is that not accurate?
That's correct. It should show as managed already, so you shouldn't necessarily have to merge the assets. We have some fast follow-on work around some additional things, like if you wanted to merge assets that are the same but didn't automatically show up. I think there's some additional work there that the team is working on, but it should automatically show as managed upfront.
Couple of AutoElevate questions. If we're already using AutoElevate with the ticket integration prior to the Syncro integration being available, what are the advantages? One is that you can get billed from us on a single invoice. Two is that our minimums are lower. There's a 25 endpoint minimum, and I believe with other folks it's 100. And then the third thing is this is just phase one of the AutoElevate integration. Phase two is going to bring it under the universal billing umbrella. And it is also going to allow you to deploy the endpoint over our asset policy. So there's a lot of good things coming there. Marcel's asking about AutoElevate pricing. That's right on the AutoElevate app card in the app center of your Syncro instance. And then a couple questions around whether or not it's all or nothing when you deploy AutoElevate. So you can deploy it to as many or as few endpoints on a single customer as you like. It is not all or nothing.
There's a question around the Syncro agent auto updating. It should auto update automatically on its own. We track that over time and make sure that all of the agents have successfully updated. If you feel like your agents are really out of date or something, please reach out to our technical support team. They'd be happy to assist you and we can take a look, but you shouldn't need to do anything. They should auto update.
Folks, there's a couple of folks asking about where to find network discovery. So it's an actual tab, and if you don't see it for any reason and you're on the team plan, If you click the little user drop down in the top right of your Syncro instance, there'll be a tab customization. It may just be disabled or hidden. So just enable it. It'll pop up into your active tabs. There are a couple people asking about if migrations are possible to move, if you're getting AutoElevate from another vendor or directly to Syncro. Yes, you can. You guys can just email me directly, andy@syncromsp.com or AutoElevate@syncromsp.com, and we can transition that and take the billing over for you. So that's no problem.
There's a lot of questions, and I know we've answered some in there, but questions around applying for early access. How do I get into early access? I know the chat moves fast. I cannot keep up with the chat. But Caitlin did put the links for early access in the chat here. It is also always on our public roadmap as soon as something goes into early access. So if you ever wanted to check, now if you went to syncromsp.com/roadmap, you can sign up for any early access that is on the roadmap there.
I have one, someone asking about our current chat in product for clients, asking when we plan to update it or any plan to update it. It's not currently on our public roadmap, but I have gotten feedback from folks about that. And so, keep the input coming, and it's something that we'll definitely consider for a future roadmap for sure.
Couple folks asking about the mobile app. I think there was a bug in the last version that came out where some folks would get stuck on the splash screen. We have had several folks update to the newest version that we released yesterday saying it solved it for them. So please update your app and try again. You still have that issue. Please, if you have a ticket open, please update the ticket and let us know, or please create a new one if you're still having that same issue. But we do believe that we've resolved that one. Jeff is asking, can we get an option to have ticket timers start automatically when viewing a ticket? Jeff wants that. I want that. Bobby, can we get that, please? Or Rob, I don't know who's in the background, but can we please have that one? I really, I see Bobby typing, so I'll follow up with you in a second on that one, Jeff. Couple questions about network discovery. Does it give notifications when something new is added to the network? As of today, no, but that's a very strong element of feedback that we've gotten from folks. So we are adding that. Do we have a general ETA for that, D? Is that something that folks should expect to see like in the next month? Or I don't know when the next big update there is for that.
I missed it, Andy. I'm going to be honest. I was
No,
reading ahead to try
okay.
to figure out what other questions I was supposed to be answering.
No, that's okay. I was talking about the adding notifications when a new device is
Oh,
found.
yeah. So it should be, hopefully it's weeks, not months. It's in progress. So it's coming soon for sure.
There was a question around assets. Are we going to redesign assets to have a similar look and feel, the new table similar to users and that we've done with tickets? The answer is yes. That is a standardization that we are rolling out across the whole platform. You'll see that kind of drip over time over the course of this year. But yes, assets is up next on our list.
And I see Jeff, Bobby just responded and says, I want it too. So he's thinking it could be a follow-up to the ticket timer enhancements that we showed earlier. So yeah, good suggestion. I definitely want to see that one. I know a lot of people operate their tech houses that way. So I'd like to see that too, for sure.
Couple of questions in here on timing around the patching dashboard. And, the patching dashboard should be available within a few weeks. It's really close to being finished. And so should be coming very, very soon.
Steve's asking about universal billing. Will we be able to manually update license counts rather than updating and importing CSVs each month? So to be clear, importing CSVs is only needed when you're not getting one of those vendors from Syncro. When you are, it's all automatic. You map your customers, we pull the counts, flows right into your recurring invoices. CSVs is just going to be for the few vendors that you're not getting from Syncro. So that would just be you trip it, it would import it for all your customers, and then it would behave as if we had obtained those counts. It just isn't going to be automatic.
I have a couple of questions in here about the mobile app. And so I just want to, about remote access specifically in the mobile app. So our mobile app today does support remote access with Splashtop. You will need the Splashtop RMM app just on the same phone as you have the Syncro mobile app. And then the other thing I will mention is right now we do have the legacy Syncro app in the App Store, as well as the new Syncro mobile. And so make sure you're running Syncro mobile. It's a new app. And if you have the Splashtop RMM app on the same phone, you should be able to remote access in. Once again, we've had thousands of these. People have been using it for a while. So any issue with that, feel free to reach out to us for help.
There's a question around, will users be able to be archived as well? It's hard when a user leaves, we have to delete the user. Yes, this is something that we are working towards. So we added the ability, so if a user leaves and you disable them in Microsoft, it will mark them as disabled in Microsoft within Syncro, and we're looking to expand that capability. It won't happen immediately with, it's not going to be in the initial release, but it is something that's on the list to kind of continue to build on and allow you to archive or mark them as disabled instead of fully deleted.
Matt's asking, are you able to run different license tiers for AutoElevate as an MSP? Or are you required to run the same license across all customers? You can mix and match across customers. So you can have customer A with advanced, you can have customer B with standard. That's definitely possible. Someone check me on the answer to this. This is a network discovery question. They're saying they have a client with multiple locations. I know we can apply different,
Profiles.
well, you'd have different profiles hitting each location within the same customer. And then when you get you can either drill into the profile just to see a specific site, or you could have a view of all of the sites, and then you could filter that or sort that by profile. That's how you would handle that.
Yeah.
Answer my own question there.
I was like, was there a question? Yes. Cool. I had a couple of questions come in around payment options. And so, yes, we are investigating payment options. We've heard loud and clear that folks want especially new ACH options, but just new option in general. And so more to come on that, but it is on my radar for sure.
Fauzi's asking about integrations with Axia and Keeper. I'm going to make a general comment here. There are products I like, but sometimes get acquired by vendors I don't like. And so with certain things like Axia, that makes it a little bit harder to do. Keeper, on the other hand, is one that we are looking at. I do know that we've had a lot of folks asking about password management specifically, something to be able to resell to their clients. I will say that I guess I can leak this a little bit. I don't care. AutoElevate, now that we have that partnership with CyberFOX, they also have a very, very good product, which they just completely revamped, called Password Boss. And I know that we are going to be adding that into our marketplace. It doesn't preclude us from adding anybody else there. However, I think that is going to be the first one up for password management. So you should see something there later this year. Bob's asking if they can migrate their Proofpoint instance to Syncro from another vendor. Yes, and that's true of anything that Syncro resells: Webroot, Bitdefender, Acronis, Proofpoint, AutoElevate. You can always migrate your instances to Syncro, have Syncro bill you for those licenses. With Proofpoint specifically, to answer your question, this is another advantage of most of the vendors that we resell through Syncro, is that Syncro does not do tier one, except in a few rare instances. It's always the third-party vendor. So for Proofpoint, all of that support is handled directly through Proofpoint across the board. Same for AutoElevate, by the way.
I've seen a few questions and comments on network discovery around export options, filtering. I think we mentioned there are a handful of things going on to enhance network discovery now. Keep the suggestions coming. We have a lot of interest in using this, and so feel free to tuck in product feedback. We'll also grab feedback from this, and we'll continue to add things to just enhance that feature as we go.
This is a good question. I don't know if one of the product folks in the background can answer this. This is again from Jeff, and I like this one. Currently, we have is and is not and contains as filters for automation and remediations, but he's basically looking for more Boolean operators there, like or and things like that. Is that something that I know we've heard that before? Is that something we're actively working on? Anybody know?
I'm not sure on that one.
All right, tell you what. Okay, we're not actively working on that, but it is actively being discussed. So yeah, keep those requests coming for that one, because I see the power of that for sure.
Kevin had a question of where more than one contact has the same shared email. It automatically links to the first contact in A to Z order and pulls that name for additional note headers, rather than using the reassigned user. Kevin, I'm not sure if that's in relation to the existing Enter ID sync or some of the pieces that you're looking. Maybe you can clarify a little bit there. The new contact list will display all of those users, but I don't know if that's exactly your question. So maybe you can give us a bit more detail on where you're trying to do and what you're trying to update here.
Bill's asking, is the Teams option the only way to have multi-screen splash top option? I don't like not being able to see all screens as an option. That is the only way. And just to explain the differentiation, if you're on the core plan, you can still use multiple monitors, but there's a button that will toggle between one monitor to the next. If you're on the team plan, that's an upgraded version of Splash Shop. So all technician licenses and all work from home licenses, by the way, will be able to see all monitors in one view. So just envision dragging a window from one monitor to the other within the same view. That's the differentiation between the two. And hey, by the way, Bill, I just saw your last name, so now I know who you are. Question about universal billing. Will CSVs be able to be imported automatically, API or otherwise? It'll be a button that you will just click import. You'll click the product or the vendor rather, and then it will import all of that usage for that given month. And then everything that I showed you to the right of that, which would be the mapping portion one-to-one with your CSV import, the reporting and bringing it into the recurring invoices would be the same. Dee, there's quite a few questions about, and I apologize, I was also answering questions if you haven't answered it yet about payment processing.
I did, and I tried to mark them all down, but I did say payment processing very much on the radar, not currently close enough to be on that public roadmap, but it is on our radar, heard loud and clear.
Got it.
There's another question here about early access for dashboard and early access in general. Are these settings for one specific user or for an entire company? And for the most part, early access is typically something you're turning on for your entire company, your entire Syncro instance. So if you make the dashboard page available, it'll be for everyone in your organization, not just one technician.
Grant's asking, Bobby, if you can check me on the background, he's asking if you can add a resolve ticket for tickets on mobile. Is that not a status you can set? That would seem weird. Grant, if I'm not understanding the question right, let me know, but it just sounds like you're trying to mark a ticket as resolved on the mobile app and you can't for some reason. Let me know on that one. Someone's asking about a jump cloud integration. That's not currently something that we're investigating now.
Also, I have a question in here on improving projects, the ability to manage projects and work with projects. That is also something that is on the radar, and you'll see hit our roadmap at some point in the hopefully not too distant future.
Folks asking about integrations with Trend Micro. I will say no on Trend Micro, is that's not one we're looking at today. We are looking at other security integrations though, so stay tuned because we might have some announcements relatively soon on that. Harvey's asking, he uses a couple third-party vendors. He's asking more about how the billing process will work with the CSV model. So basically everything that I showed you to the right of getting your user data would be identical to what you're seeing. So you would basically map customers for your quote unquote custom vendor, and then you would just import your counts. It would match the customers. It would log those counts against that specific customer, and then you could flow it into your reports and into your billing model. So that would be true of, doesn't matter what the product is. You would just need to be able to add those products manually into Syncro so we know what we're mapping it to. Some products, I mean, you mentioned Altero. I think they might have a bunch of backup SKUs. So you just have to make sure anything you have usage for exists in Syncro prior to importing.
There's a couple of questions on agent improvements, specifically around Mac OS. Are we going to improve the Mac agent as well? Will we bring backgrounding tools to Mac? This is one of the things that we are looking at as we're modernizing the agent. So our goal is to improve both the Mac and like I said, and also adding the Linux agent. There'll be stages to this. We know how powerful backgrounding tools is, and so we're doing a lot of work actually to modernize that as well and to continue to expand it. So yes, we're hoping. I don't have time frames. I don't have something to say exactly when it's going to happen, but it's on our list of things to continue to improve.
Brandon's asking about any plans to integrate with ESET, Signet, or 1Password. Brandon, I will say the answer is no, but that's all I can really say there right now. A couple of folks are saying you can mark and I just confirmed with the product folks on the back end, for Grant, you can mark the tickets as resolved in the mobile app. So I think maybe I'm not understanding your question. So let me know if I'm missing something there. Asking another question about, a lot of integration questions today about Sophos. Again, I just want to make a blanket statement that we are looking at it to bring additional security vendors into Syncro. I can't say today what those might be or what those look like.
There is some questions around Google Workspace and creating a similar sync with Entra ID. It's not currently on the list. If we hear I know that a couple, but some people use Google Workspace. You might have a couple clients. We'd love to hear from you into how many of your clients use Google Workspace and what the benefit would be. I did also see, I think, something around recurring, trying to scroll through and I'm not going to be able to find it, around recurring billing with Google Workspace, which you can use if you set up some things with custom fields, you can use that, but we don't have the sync today to sync with Google Workspace directly.
James is asking about iPhone MDM. Kristen, check me on this if you have other plans, but I think that the answer that we'll probably have for MDM in the future is an integration with a direct MDM provider. But is that something that we might do natively in the future, or probably partnership is the way we're going to handle that?
I don't know that I have a great answer on that. I think there's some pieces on Apple Business Manager that's interesting. If we were to improve our Mac, like as we improve our Mac agent, but I don't know that we'd have anything on MDM. Likely would be a partnership, but Andy, we haven't talked about that at all. So maybe that's one of the things we add to our list.
On the mobile app, someone was saying they're hopping in and they're just seeing resolved tickets in the ticket view on mobile app, and that it's not an easy way to filter those out. So I'm going to have the team look into that and see what's happening there. And if there's something easy we can do to fix that, we will, or change that.
Okay. Bill's asking, I'm a one-man shop. I'm not on team. Could we have, okay, so I think he's asking for a la carte features, like if he just wanted to pay for network discovery or splash top. I'll say for right now, Bill, that's not something in the works. But honestly, if you would want to pay for network discovery and splash top, you're probably 3/4 of the way to a full Teams license anyways. Tell you what, Bill, just shoot me an email directly. We'll talk after this. I know you got my email already. Somebody's saying ThreatLocker was in the works as a Syncro integration. That's not true as of today. Now, to be clear, we do have an open API, so sometimes people are building things with us that we're not informed on, but I haven't heard anything about ThreatLocker specifically. Kevin's asking general product question. Can you remote into a user's machine very much like an additional user without interrupting the user? Is this an option? Kind of, and I'm not going to talk about the philosophical of whether that's a good idea or not. With Splashtop, it's not. It will always pop a little message that, so-and-so has connected to your machine. We have these secondary backgrounding tools, and there's a thing in there called Remote Desktop, and that's our secondary remote access tool. And with that, you can set it not to pop a message. So if you did want to pop on and monitor somebody doing something without them necessarily knowing it, that would be the option you'd use to do that. We have a couple people asking about how to enable the team trial. So my account is already on Teams, so I don't have an example for you guys. But if you go in the admin settings, I'll walk you through. Let me bring this up on my end really quick. I should have had a slide ready for
the doc in the chat as well for folks, but
oh, okay, great. But yeah, it's a couple options down in the admin settings. You go to account settings, there'll be a black button there that says manage plan, and it talks about the core and the team plan. And you should see an option there to trip a team plan trial. And again, if you've tried it in the past, we did reset it for everybody. So if for some reason you don't see that, please write into our support folks and we'll get that enabled for you. James, there's not a toolbox. I think you're talking in Splashtop. Splashtop has a couple things, but there's not like a run the script in the background type thing. However, like Screen Connect has, but if you go into the backgrounding tools, we have all of that stuff. You can get remote CMD, PowerShell, registry editor, file editor, all that stuff will not interrupt the user. So it's a pretty powerful tool set there.
There's two that I'm going to end. One question around postmortems. Those are posted to the status page along the incident. I'll double check where those things are, but there should be postmortems and some pieces on follow-up. So I'll follow up on those there. And then now I've lost the second question around Entra ID sync. And if you're able to manage your Office, your O365. I'm not sure exactly what you mean there in what you're looking to manage. So maybe you can give us a bit more information on what you'd like to manage and what that would look like. You can view all of the licenses and interact with all the things in this first round. And we're going to continue to do more in that area as we go forward.
All right, well, I think that about sums it up for today. I did want to remind everybody, we did post the link to that, our community forum in the chat. Head over there. And again, if you did not get your question answered here for any reason, you guys can go ahead and post them there and we'll all be following up with you there. Thanks everybody for joining. We appreciate everybody's engagement. We'll see you next month.
Yeah, thanks so much, all. Have a good day.
Thank you all.